welcome to today's episode of Playing to the Tune of Life. Today we have a special guest, my dad, Johnny. Hello, Dad.
Hello there.
So I really wanted to interview my dad for this episode, as my dad and I have always had a special relationship with music. So he's the one who taught me how to play guitar and really introduced me to the artistry of being a musician. He's also introduced me to some amazing artists like James Taylor, Eric Clapton, many others. And I have vivid memories as a kid of walking into the living room and seeing Eric Clapton playing on our TV with the surround sound blasting. Dad, do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
So it was always a joy to watch my dad as he played in church, but even as I have learned so much, I know so little of his own background with music. So that's kind of what the point of today's podcast is. So I wanted to ask him some questions about his experience with music. So that's what we're going to explore today. So Dad, your first question is, what is your background with music? When did you learn? And tell us a little bit about that.
Well, my background, I guess, initially, I started with a ukulele.
Really? I didn't know that.
Ukulele. My dad was stationed in Hawaii. He was in the Air Force. And when we were over there, there was a small church we were in. And of course, the musicians, a lot of them played ukulele.
Mm-hmm.
And so I learned to play, I think I was probably in second or third grade.
Yeah.
I started fooling around with that and learned about 2 chords and started playing.
Who got you the ukulele?
Mom got it.
Oh, Grandma did?
Yeah.
So my grandma, his mother, was also a musician. She played the piano. So do you feel like that's kind of where that interest came from?
I should have gone back a little further. Yeah, of course, Mom was a very good pianist. She was a church pianist. But she had a love for music, and I'm sure that's where it is innate within me.
Yeah, watching her play as you went to church and stuff.
Right.
Were you self-taught with the ukulele, or?
Oh yeah, self-taught and watching those around me. That's the way I learned.
I'm sure a lot of people played the ukulele in Hawaii.
A lot. And I didn't know even that there was later that there were other sizes of ukuleles with different tones. There's a baritone and different sounds, but
yeah.
So that was the first instrument before I got to the guitar, though.
Oh, that's cool, Dad. Is there any other instrument you wish you would have learned or you still want to learn?
Well, I'm still learning, and with the guitar, as with any instrument, you continue to learn and grow.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And always just an amateur, but always enjoyed the music, though, playing with different groups I was with.
So I remember a story that you told me about the drums when you were growing up, that in the culture that you were in, Christian culture, and Grandma and Granddad, they started a lot of churches across the world as they traveled for the military and stuff, and drums were not really a Christian thing in churches at the time.
No, the earlier days, the drums were kind of put way back. If they were there, they're way back in a corner and something in front of them.
Something in front of them to hide them. That's so funny.
But later, of course, they become center stage, even in churches now.
That's really interesting. So I was learning in my history class that the age that you grew up in was like Elvis Presley and all of that rock and roll, and that was
early
really
50s,
frowned upon
60s.
At the time and stuff.
Yeah, I guess probably though, as far as church music, there was an artist called Andre Crouch, and I loved his music. He was gospel music, but I just loved the feel of it, the intensity of the feeling that he was able to interpret, and I really would sit for hours with my bass. I learned later to play the bass, and as well as some of the little guitar, but I would sit in front of my amplifier and with the records and learn to play the bass a lot by listening through.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, listening to that.
So you learn by listening. I feel like that's harder for me to do, to listen and learn through that, than it is to actually read chords on sheet music.
Well, for me, I think I really ended up listening more than probably I should have been learning more.
You got just too involved in the
I was just more of an
song.
ear. I love to listen by ear and play. I had a good ear, so I could play by ear.
Okay, so do you remember your first public performance? Do you remember that?
Yeah, probably the first ones that I remember was when I was in Okinawa. Dad moved to Okinawa when I was in high school, and there was a little.
And Okinawa is in Japan, right?
It was a prefecture of Japan at that. It's an
They
island.
had a Air Force base there, right?
Yep, Air Force Base was there. Dad was stationed there, and there was a really nice church there that we got involved in. And so in the church, we formed a little group, and we played at different functions around on the island during that time.
Wow.
When I was in high school.
So it was some of your high school friends?
High school and church.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a lot of the church people that were in there, and some of them wrote music and stuff. So we had a good time. Yeah, on Okinawa. That was a fun place to play.
Yeah. Well, you went to school in a lot of different places. Do you feel like you kind of weaned different musical education and cultures like that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that was great for learning different types of music and different appreciation styles. For different styles. Yeah.
But do you remember kind of your first experience of, oh, I'm actually good at playing music? Do you felt like you recognized that you were good at something? Well,
later on, moving on into college, I got into different groups there. When I was in college, it was a church-related college, and I got into some groups that were able to travel a lot. In fact, we travel all over the United States.
Wow.
And I played the bass during that time, and also played the trumpet for a group of there's about 30 of us that were in this group. It was a choral group with a band that backed the group. And that was probably one of the best times that I really was able to feel like I was really beginning to learn a lot, and I really enjoyed that time because I felt like my music was really improving.
I guess growing up, I just always thought guitar was like your first instrument, but you really went more ukulele, bass, and trumpet.
And picked up the guitar when I was I really started picking up the guitar when I was in Okinawa as well, because they had a lot of guitars there.
Oh, cool.
A lot of people that were interested in playing that.
Wish you would have kept your guitars from those days. How cool would that have been?
I shouldn't have sold a lot of those guitars.
I think you said didn't you have to marry mom or something like that?
Yeah, I did sell off a lot of stuff.
Dang it, Dad.
I bought them back, but not the same ones.
That's funny. I guess, so do you feel like being musically inclined, we've talked about you were able to travel a lot with this college group, but do you feel like being musically inclined led you to more experiences in life? Like, did it help you socially? Did it help you, to experience other opportunities that you feel like you wouldn't have had if you weren't musically inclined?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, music just opens up everything for you in a lot of ways if you're really into that, because you get to associate with people of like-minded music.
Yeah.
And their styles and what they like begins to rub off on you, and you learn different types of music. So that's why I like all those different things we talked about. I love the rock. I love church music, but I also love blues. I love jazz. I love all those styles.
Which influenced me in all my music. I'm about as eclectic a music lover, I think, as you can get, because I've gleaned all of your loves along the way, and I think that's really cool.
When you have that passion and you see people that are really good at what they do, it just kind of rubs off on you.
Yeah. We talked about how maybe grandma influenced getting you into music and buying you a ukulele, but did you ever have a moment when me and Christy were growing up, my sister, where you felt like imparting music on us was important, or did it come naturally, or?
Well, I really wanted, with you especially, I think there's almost a gravity when someone has that inside and built inside. Christy was a great musician. She played the trumpet as well, and so did you. But, there has to be a gravity in you that draws you to other instruments as well, and that desire. And you just had that. You had that desire for the guitar especially. And when I really didn't do a whole lot with you because you had that desire so much. I just taught you a few things, and you really ran with it. And you wrote music and your own songs, and I encouraged you to do that.
Yeah.
I remember telling you when you were beginning to write, I said, write your own songs. And I gave you a few chords. I said, for you to try that.
Yeah.
And you went with it.
Yeah, I think that was a big part of, when I was growing up, I had a lot of, issues socially fitting in and stuff, and that was such an outlet for me to kind of deal with those emotions and stuff, writing those songs. I think that was really good.
So cathartic, yeah.
So what was it like, on the other side? I know what it felt like for you to teach me, but what was it like kind of watching your child take on those?
It was great. It's great when you see your child especially love to do the things that you love to do. And you get to enjoy that with them, and you get to remember all the times that you began that process in your own life. And I watched it in you and in Christy too.
Yeah, I agree. It almost makes me emotional. This is just our special thing,
Yeah,
you know?
it is, baby, it is.
So how do you feel about my relationship with music? Again, I know how it felt to kind of use those tools to help me through my life. And I probably didn't even really recognize that they were tools back then. But
Right.
did you notice any difference in me from when I took up the guitar and on all those things?
Oh, yeah, I think it really is, for a child, I think growing up, it is a confidence builder, as well as you're being able to express yourself in your creative ways, you know, but it really builds your confidence when you begin to feel like you're improving.
Yeah.
And you're learning new things.
You're good at something.
Yeah, and it opens up new avenues for you even to have have different people in your life that enjoy the same thing.
Yeah, I agree. Gives you a touch point with people to feel connected.
Yeah.
You have had, you've been alive longer than I have, so you've seen, music like we talked about with Elvis Presley, where there was all this kind of backlash around rock and roll, and you've seen a lot of different kind of cultures surrounding music. So
Right.
how do you feel like, in your experience of, looking back when you first started to now, how has music impacted us, as humans? Is there any moment where you really felt like, wow, this is touching the world or whatever?
Well, music can touch you. Music has a depth to it that draws all people, and some people more than others, but mostly music can touch just about anyone.
Yeah.
And all the emotions can be evoked from a song.
Right.
Happiness,
It's
sadness.
like a language all of its own.
All those things can come through music. And so for that part of it, I think, that's why I loved it so much and why I enjoyed watching you guys enjoy it so much.
Yeah. And you were, in that traveling band in college. I'm sure you played worship music. You were at a Christian college. So did you feel or see any moments where music kind of created a revival or something around you? Did you see the impact of that?
Oh, yeah. We're in churches where the music really evoked that kind of emotion that we had one church that we were in Louisiana. I remember it was a large church, probably 3,000 or 4,000 people. And we did one song, Rise and Be Healed was the name of the song. And it had such a touch upon the music, I think. It touched the people so much that they all stood at the end. We got a standing ovation.
Oh, wow.
And people were really touched by that song. And I'll always remember that moment. Because
You
it was
remember
just
the name of the song and everything. That's amazing.
Yeah, Rise
so
and Be
long
Healed.
ago.
Yeah.
How do you feel, we've kind of talked about it already, but how do you feel music is important to the world? So musical education, for example, you had musical education in the schools you grew up in. I had musical education where I grew up, learned sheet music and things like that. There's a lot of talk around, a lot of times in Texas schools about taking away funding for musical education. And what's your take on that, and how do you feel about that?
Well, I think it just rounds you in some way to have some type of music. Some people are more interested than others, as we said, but for children to at least be put into a position where they're at least experience that, whether they have a long-term interest in it or not, in some way they need to be touched by it, because music has such ability to affect us and to help us, and I think that kids really need that in their lives, whether they realize it or not in the beginning.
Yeah.
I think it's important.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Dad, I appreciate you sharing your wisdom and your life with us. You have such a long history with music, and I always learn things from you, so I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today.
I enjoyed that.
Thanks, Dad.
Anytime.
I'm going to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine?